Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications.
Now, earlier today, I talked with Bishop T.D. Jakes, #1 New York Times best-selling author, filmmaker, and senior pastor of the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, about his new book, Crushing: God Turns Pressure into Power. We also talked about the criminal justice system and ways to decrease the recidivism rates in the United States. Here's that interview. Bishop Jakes, thank you so much for being with us on Roland Martin Unfiltered today. I am excited because I've gotten not just a preview, but I have your brand new book, Crushing, in my hands, and I got to hear you a couple of days ago at First Baptist Glen Arden, so I already know something that the rest of the world is about to find out, that you are on your 41st book. This is your 41st book now, and it is one that, in my opinion, is perfect for the season we are in. Can you please just tell us a little bit about Crushing?
You know, one of the things that really intrigued me about writing this book is that when I look back over my own life, it was not the successes that made me strong, that made me endure, that made me escalate to the next level. It was actually the crushing moments in my life, the difficult times, the hard times, the perplexing times, that I actually saw the greatest increase and the greatest effect on myself as a person, as a leader, economically, in every aspect of my life. And this book, Crushing, really grapples with the notion that much like grapes turn to wine, we have to go through certain crushings in order to reach the final state of what we really need to be. The art of it is to go through it and not get stuck in it.
Yes, yes, I understand. And I love the fact that you talk about how being a grape, some people think is a finish line, but really being the grape, being the fruit, is just a start. We're working our way through a process so that we can be something much more powerful.
Well, you know, when Jesus lifted up the cup, and this is a season where Christians everywhere remember the Last Supper and the crucifixion and the resurrection during this season, we're so cognizant of the fact that when Jesus lifted up the cup, all that the grape would go through to become wine was everything that he would go through. Both he and the grape were born to die. The grape is a crop that is raised so that it can be crushed. And right before Christ himself was to be crushed, he lifted up the cup and said, "Do this in remembrance of me." And I think that there's a great metaphorical lesson to be learned there, that before he could have a resurrection, he had to have a crucifixion. Mm-hmm. And before we could be crowned, we have to be crushed. And so many people are in the process rather than the promise, and frustrated by the process, feeling like they're not going to get out. But the reality is the process is something that you go through, not that you go to. And if you keep on forging forward, you will come out of it.
And one of the things that I was thinking about as I was reading and as I was hearing you the other day is that this country really has been going through a crushing process, that many people are concerned for their livelihoods, they're concerned for how they're going to take care of their loved ones if their loved ones get sick, they're concerned about the political environment, and it seems like we may be going through some fermentation right now as a whole. Is there anything that you can offer just to the people who are watching that will encourage them in such uncertain times?
You know, this period that we're in right now as African Americans reminds me very much of why Joshua, after he had served up under Moses and had been one of the spies that had crossed the wall to the promised land, he then, up under his leadership, sent more spies to cross over the wall to the promised land so that they would be as motivated as he is.
Yes.
This generation that we have right now has never seen racism like their parents did. This is their first encounter with the reality that this is not just a historical context, that we are not in a post-racist society, that it still raises its ugly head more prevalent than we've seen in recent years. And that awakening is important so that we can continue to press forward and hold elected officials more accountable to the needs of all people and not just some people. And I think that's an important awakening to happen. But I do believe that when the crushing stops and when the test is over, that we will come out the better. We have seen worse days than these and survived them and came out the better. And I'm hopeful and optimistic, even in the face of discouraging news and headlines, that ultimately the best of our country will rise out of the ashes of the disparity that it finds itself in right now.
Amen. And we certainly need voices like yours to just be a guiding force as we fight through these times. But you mentioned racism and how some people kind of were at ease and didn't realize how prevalent it still is. One of the things that I know you know and is a concern of yours is the way that our people of color are disproportionately affected in the criminal justice system. And I had the pleasure of watching the Tory graduation for your ministry, I guess it was almost a week ago. And I just wondered if you would talk a little bit about what the recidivism issue is for our country and what you believe we can do to tackle it, because you guys seem to have figured something out that the rest of the country has not.
Well, our Texas Offenders Reentry Initiative, we call it TORI, has been in existence for over 10 years. We have seen 23,000 formerly incarcerated inmates go through our program, our year-long program, and graduate. Our rate of recidivism is the lowest in the country, and it is because we get to underlying causes like helping them to get GEDs, helping them to get dressed for job interviews, or proper clothing, helping them with simple things like how to use a cell phone, right down to anger management, right down to increasing their understanding of what is a family and how to re-assimilate back into a society that has survived without them. We have to have a very practical, pragmatic program that reduces the rate of recidivism, but we also have to work, when you start talking about criminal justice, I'm on the back end of it. I'm on the people coming out. Right. We also need work on the front end to stop people going in because they didn't have representation, plea deals that go awry to the benefit of somebody who's trying to run for election. We have to take the carrot away from elected officials that if you incarcerate more people, that means you're tough on crime and therefore more electable. We have to reward them for being solution-oriented rather than turning the criminal justice system into a business, a big business that's in Wall Street. All of those things need to be changed and so many things more in order for us to really fix the damaging, prevailing, disproportionate incarceration of Black people.
Well, don't get me started, Bishop. You know, that's one of my hot button topics also. But before I let you go, I want to give an opportunity for you to let everybody know that there is an International Pastors and Leadership Conference coming up. I know that it's April 25th, 26th, 27th. But if you'd like to just give a shout out and let them know something about what's going on.
We're going to be in Tampa, Florida. They can go to pastorsandleaders.org and look at the vast array of speakers that we have coming. There will be over 40 different countries that are represented. Oddly enough, our Pastors and Leadership Conference over the years has taken on a new dimension. It's not just pastors anymore. In fact, a lot of them are leaders, corporate leaders, government leaders, city leaders, medical leaders, all coming together to see how that they can enhance themselves as entrepreneurs and business people. It's going to be in Tampa, and they can register online. Registration is going incredibly well. And if there are also listeners that are interested in picking up this crushing book, either because you're in it or you have been in it or you feel stuck in it or you're trying to get over it, they will be available wherever books are sold starting Tuesday, or they can be pre-ordered on Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com, or you can go to the store and get them wherever books are sold starting this Tuesday.
Well, we sure appreciate being hot off the press, really before the press, so that people can know about this book. I know that it's going to be a blessing. Please, everyone, get crushing. God turns pressure into power. Bishop Jakes, thank you so much for taking the time today. We appreciate you.
No, thanks for me. God bless. Bye-bye.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one
Calling
moment.
all HBCU alums, students, and leaders. Enter the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school. That's a lot of dough. Come on, schools. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve mobility in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. The winning program will receive a grant of up to $25,000 to implement their proposal. The deadline to apply has been extended to April 15th, 2019. Go to FGB.Life for more information and to apply. Ford goes further in our community.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.